Okay, so get this. We're diving into the world of a race so intense, so wild, they actually had to shut it down. The Mil Miglia.
Yeah, it was a spectacle, that's for sure. Not just a race, but a true test, against Italy's breathtaking scenery. Imagine. 1,000 miles, public roads, flat out, Brescia to Rome and back.
We've got some amazing firsthand accounts, too. This French article really captures the energy.
Like you're right there in the thick of it.
All right, so Rewind to the 1920s.
Yeah.
Where did this crazy idea even come from?
Italy, man, they were hooked on racing. Big rivalry brewing. Brescia versus Milan. Milan snagged the Italian Grand Prix, and, well, Brescia wasn't about to be shown up.
Huh. Like, oh yeah, we'll show you a real race.
Pretty much. They wanted a race that screamed passion, motorsport, Italy's beauty, all of it. 1927, bam, the Mille Miglia is born.
75 cars, a figure eight, 1,000 Roman miles. That's what ambitious is an understatement.
The whole nation was captivated. Picture those early cars. Many just souped-up streetcars, roaring through these towns, vineyards, mountain passes, all against the clock.
The crowds must have been something else.
Massive spectacle lining the streets, cheering them on. And it wasn't just the thrill. It actually impacted Italy, pushed road development, infrastructure. You can see the legacy in the autostrade, even today.
Like a high-speed evolution of road design, all because of this race.
Exactly. And speaking of evolution, early Mille Miglia, one name ruled, Alfa Romeo. Kings of the road, win after win.
But you gotta love a good challenger, right? Every dynasty has one.
And here comes Rudolf Caracciola in 1931 in his Mercedes SSKL. Talk about a David and Goliath story.
What made it so remarkable? The car, the driver, both.
A bit of everything, but their determination, that's what gets me. The underdog, taking on Alfa Romeo with their army of mechanics, Caracciola's team, him, his wife, a handful of mechanics.
The scrappy underdogs, I love it. What'd their car have that the Alfa Romeos did?
The SSKL, it was a beast. Powerful, fast, but a handful to handle, let me tell you. But Caracciola, he wrestled that thing through those 1,000 miles against Alpha, against the conditions, everything.
And won, against all odds.
Proving it wasn't just about the biggest team or flashiest car. The Mille Miglia, it was about resilience, ingenuity, and maybe a touch of madness, too.
Now, speaking of madness, gotta talk about Tazio Nuvolari. The man was legendary. Daring driver, cunning, the whole package.
In a league of his own, Nuvolari won the Mille Miglia twice in the 30s. His rivalry with Achille Varzi, another Italian legend. Legendary in itself.
Okay, tell me about it. What kind of tactics are we talking about?
Yeah.
This guy sounds like he had a few tricks up his sleeve.
Oh, this story, it's perfect Nuvolari. Picture this. 1930 race. Dusk is settling in. He's trailing Varzi. Headlights back then, not exactly what they are now. Night falls. Varzi sees Nuvolari's lights getting closer, then nothing.
Wait, he turned his headlights up off F. In the middle of the night during the Mille Miglia? That's insane. What was he thinking?
That was Nuvolari. He knew that route like the back of his hand. Figured, why not use Varzi's headlights? Followed close behind, his own car in darkness. Imagine Varzi's surprise.
I can't even. So, did it work?
Kilometers from the finish line, Varzi hears that engine roar, sees those piercing headlights suddenly flash back on as Nuvolari blows past him for the win.
Talk about psychological warfare on wheels. Incredible. No wonder they called him Il Campionissimo.
Master of reading the road, the conditions, and most importantly, his opponents. Lights out tactic, just one example. Nuvolari always pushed the limits, driving skill, strategy, the whole 9 yards. Not afraid of risks, that's for sure. And you needed that with the Mille Miglia. But those roads, beautiful as they were dangerous too.
Yeah, you think about races like the Liège-Rome-Liège.
Yeah.
That one always gets me.
Exactly. Almost 3,000 miles nonstop through the Alps, the Apennines, even down to the Balkans before heading back to Belgium.
Wait, nonstop, as in no sleep.
Barely.
Yeah.
Catnap at a fuel stop, maybe grab a bite while mechanics swarm the car. Brutal test for the driver as much as the machine.
And this wasn't some track, right? This was whatever those roads threw at them. Traffic, weather, the works.
Absolutely. Narrow village streets, mountain passes, hairpin turns. Sometimes in the dead of night, rain, fog, you name it. Those guys were heroes just to attempt it, let alone win.
And some tragically paid the price. We talked about that 38 Lancia accident, a stark reminder of the risks.
A dark day, and sadly not the only one. As exhilarating as the Mille Miglia was, it had its share of tragedy.
Makes that post-war revival even more incredible. 1947, after the war, the engines roared back to life in Italy.
Symbol of hope, rebuilding, starting fresh. And Alfa Romeo came back strong, took the win in 47.
But then, a force of nature arrived. Enzo Ferrari.
Now that was an entrance. Ferrari, passion for speed, eye for design, performance. He was about to change everything.
Ferrari, he didn't just build cars, he built legends, from what I've read. What set his cars apart during those Mille Miglia years?
Revolutionary, that's the word. The 166 with that V12 engine dominated 48. But Ferrari, he wasn't done. The 212, 49, bigger engine, sleeker, and then the 250.
Ah, the 250, that's like peak Ferrari, isn't it?
That's the car that made his name in the Mille Miglia. Designed for those high-speed sections, sleek, aerodynamic, that V-call screaming.
So not just fast cars, but cars built specifically for this race, for these roads.
Exactly. To win the Mille Miglia, you needed a car as relentless as the race itself. The 250, it devoured those miles, win after win. Ferrari, those post-war years, they were his.
Almost. Gotta give it up for Alberto Ascari, 54, taking the win for Lancia. A bleep in Ferrari's dominance, but impressive nonetheless.
Ascari, he was something special. That win in the Lancia D24, pure skill, and that competitive fire the Mille Miglia always ignited.
And who could forget Sterling Moss, 55, right, in the Mercedes 300 SLR. That record time still stands today.
Unforgettable. Moss and his co-driver, Dennis Jenkinson, their precision, their guts, astounding.
But like we've seen, the Mille Miglia's allure, that speed, that risk, it came with a price. 1957, tragedy struck, and it changed everything. Just heavy, you know. Alfonso de Portago, such a talent, gone. His co-driver, spectators. A harsh reminder of what that race could demand.
And the reaction, the public, the government, they couldn't ignore it. Safety concerns were already there, and this, well, it forced their hand. The original Mille Miglia, it was over.
The end of an era. This race that pushed boundaries, sparked innovation, captured a whole nation's spirit. Silence.
But never forgotten. The stories, the drivers, those cars, the sheer daring of it. That's what lives on.
And then, in '82, almost like a comeback story, the Mille Miglia was reborn.
A celebration this time. A vintage rally. Those same legendary cars, 27 to 57, back on those roads.
So not about pushing limits anymore, but experiencing them. The artistry, the history, all of it.
And it clicked. Started small, a tribute, but it grew fast. Legends came back. Fangio, Lauda, Patrese. They wanted a taste of that magic, even at a slower pace.
I bet. To drive those rats, feel that connection. Something else.
Proves the power of the Mille Miglia. It's not about pure speed now, but the heart of it all. The golden age, the passion, the joy of driving.
Makes you wonder, though, could the original even happen today? With all the regulations, the tracks, a 1,000-mile sprint on open roads?
It's a thought, isn't it? The risks, they were real. But there's that romance to it, too. The skill, the courage, that touch of madness.
It's captivating, no doubt. Maybe that's why we're still talking about it all these years later. A product of its time, sure. But those stories, that audacity,
Yeah.
it speaks to something in us, you know, anyone who's felt that need for speed.
The Mille Miglia, it reminds us that some things go beyond just winning. It's pushing those boundaries, testing yourself, embracing the unknown.
And on that note, if you're ever feeling adventurous, look up some Mille Miglia footage. Those cars, the sounds, the energy, you might just catch a glimpse of that spirit that made it legendary. Until next time, keep exploring.